It may seem unreasonable after week 1 of the NFL season to start talking about the playoff picture, but I think that is absolutely wrong. Imagine last season, had the Chiefs just won their season opener, how much different things would have looked come that final week of the regular season, that first week of the postseason, etc., etc. Of course, at the time, we did not know those Detroit Lions were going to go on to be one of the championship teams. Now, the conference championship teams. Now, this is a new segment on the channel, this channel where I talk only about the Kansas City Chiefs. So if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button for Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. But I'm always going to try to start with the AFC West because you can't you have to you win the play you get to the playoffs by winning your division. That's the best way to get to the playoffs. That's the only way you get to the playoffs with your destiny in your hands. So I'm always going to open things up talking about the AFC West. Of course, the Chiefs find themselves 1-0, but the Chargers are also 1-0. And this week they take on the Panthers. The Panthers are a mess. This is a likely Chargers win. I'm not sold on the Chargers being particularly good just yet. I think maybe paradoxically that this is not. I think that Justin Herbert is perhaps in a bit of trouble. You have to realize that Harbaugh didn't draft him. Harbaugh doesn't care about what he looked like at the combine. Harbaugh doesn't care about his 40. Harbaugh doesn't care about any of the special throws he may have made at the NFL level. What is he doing going forward for the Chargers? And I'm not sold. I've never really been sold that he's a special quarterback. Going back to the day that he was drafted, that draft class in general, I'm not particularly sold on Justin Herbert. So I think that there may be a quarterback change sooner than later in for the Chargers. So that is how I feel there. Moving on, the Broncos, who find themselves 0-1, are playing the Steelers this coming week. The Steelers are a plucky team, and they are a threat to the division. I will probably start, depending on how the next few weeks go, start including the Steelers on this list of potential playoff teams. I think that they have shown. I think they're going to be one of these teams that you remember the old Patriots. The way the old Patriots just stuck around and you couldn't put them away. I think that's going to be what the Steelers are this season, and it is possible they find themselves in the playoffs for that reason. Finally, the Raiders are 0-1, and they are moving on to play the Ravens this week, which brings up the question, are there any good quarterbacks in this draft? I think there's going to be quite a few quarterbacks taken in the first round of this draft, and that is not the popular consensus. But I think it's true. Moving on, the Ravens, who are, I don't know if you knew this, 0-1, they will play the Raiders. The Ravens, so a Ravens win puts the Chiefs up further in the division because it's over the Raiders, but a Raiders win would absolutely destroy the Ravens. So either way here, the Kansas City Chiefs stand to benefit from this game. It is so we saw the Raiders last season jump up and punch the Chiefs in the mouth. We saw the Raiders last year show some signs of life. I'm not willing to completely write the Raiders off. I think they're going to have a long season if they're going to make the playoffs. But if they do jump up and knock off the Ravens, one thing you will see in this next team here, the Bengals, is that it's very difficult to climb back from an 0-2 start and make the playoffs. Moving on to that number 6 team there, the Bengals, they are 0-1. They too lost last week. The Kansas City Chiefs are in position to do great harm to their playoff capacity. 31 of 270 teams since 1990 have made the playoffs. If the Chiefs hand the Bengals their second loss of the season just in week 2, it it would greatly diminish their opportunity at the Super Bowl, at the playoffs, pardon me. I think that it is, at this point, more likely than I did at the onset of this year that the Chiefs start 2-0. I thought that, it's the NFL. This is a very difficult league when you start talking about two of the largest playoff competitors, two of the biggest threats in the AFC, playing them in weeks 1 and 2. I thought most likely you split those games. Guys, the Bengals did not look good to me. They have holes in the middle of their defense, it seemed to me. Joe Burrow, whatever it is that is plaguing him with that wrist, is still plaguing him with that wrist. And the offensive line for the Bengals does not look like the offensive line that they have tried to build. So I think that it is very possible the Chiefs move to 2-0 on the season. And I think it's likely, in fact, that they move to 2-0 on the season. I think it's likely the Bengals fall to 0-2 and then have a huge uphill battle getting back into playoff contention this season. The next, and I promise this feature, this video, this weekly video will get better as things go on. This is a little bit of a new format for me, so I am trying to break things in and how to think about things, etc. The Texans are, so these teams, what I mean to say by that is these teams are in no specific order besides the Ravens and the Bengals, because I thought that those were the two biggest threats to the Chiefs in the AFC coming into the season. The Texans have started 1-0. They're going to play the Bears. The Texans are explosive. They should open 2-0, and I think they're going to be a real threat in the conference. The Texans remind me of the 2018-2019 era Kansas City Chiefs, when Mahomes was just getting his feet under him. The one thing that I will say for the Texans, the Chiefs tried to build things through the draft. The Chiefs tried to get better by picking up one or two free agents here and there. The Texans have been more aggressive than that. Will that lead to sustainability? I don't know, but it is probably unlikely that once CJ Stroud has to be re-signed, you were able to afford all of these free agents around the fringes of the team. Number 8, I have the Colts. The Colts are 0-1, and they're moving on to take on the Packers. And look, I don't know if Anthony Richardson will develop the consistency necessary to win Super Bowls, but he's going to ruin a lot of Sundays. That guy will flash in ways that is absolutely phenomenal. If he can put a couple things together, so I don't think you have to be a perfect quarterback, obviously, in the NFL to win a whole bunch of games to go deep in the playoffs. We've seen Brock Purdy do it by being a very good game manager. He's surrounded with a lot of talent, but he's very good at managing the game. I don't think you want Anthony Richardson trying to be that quarterback. But if he can be that guy for 3 drives per game, the Colts are going to win a whole lot of football games. The number 9 team here, the Bills. Look, I've got the Bills on here. I don't have the Jaguars on here. In my opinion, and this isn't even opinion. This is a hunch. This is a gut feeling. Either the Dolphins or the Jaguars are going to be good this season. I don't know which one. I think that for whatever reason in my stomach, I feel one of these teams falling off of the cliff. The Dolphins started 1-0. They are moving on to take on the Bills. Tua threw for 338 yards and a touchdown in this game. Hill and Waddle both went over 100 yards, and the Dolphins won by 3 points over the Jaguars. In 2 months, I think this will be either an embarrassing loss for Jacksonville, if they happen to be the good one between these two, or an embarrassing close game for Miami, should the Jaguars fall off the face of the earth. It is something isn't right with these teams. These teams feel like a false facade. These teams feel like a foil coating. I don't know why. I have no numbers to back that up. That is just how it seems to me. Number 10 here, I have the Bills. The Bills are 1-0. They are going to take on the Dolphins, but the Bills were in real danger for much of that game of losing to the Arizona Cardinals. Has anyone ever seen Kyler Murray and Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the field at the same time? I didn't think so, but the Bills, they're going to have to put things together. They have moved on from a lot of pieces. I think, personally, they got a good one in their rookie wide receiver, Keon Coleman. And your buddy Scrambling Armchair took a lot of heat in a lot of videos during the last draft cycle by supporting Keon Coleman and saying he was my wide receiver number 2 in that class. Maybe that is wrong. Maybe he won't be the number 2 wide receiver, but it seems to me that he is a legitimate threat in the NFL. And the Bills are going to have to figure out how to utilize him. The Bills are going to have to figure out how to do a bunch of things that maybe they haven't done in the past. They're going to have to figure out how it is they want to use Josh Allen. If you lose Josh Allen at this point, you don't have the supporting cast. It's possible before, I don't know who their backup quarterback was. I think the Bills had the supporting cast that, yeah, you could probably win a couple games and continue a streak to get to the playoffs the way that the Chiefs have had to do in the absence of Patrick Mahomes in the past. I don't think that they're there. I don't think the Bills are there. I think that if you lose Josh Allen for a couple games because he's running around all over the place, I think you lose those games. Moving on, the Jets are 0-1. They are going to play the Titans. If the Jets start this season 0-2, I will likely remove them from this list. Yes, they lost to the 49ers. There's no shame in losing to the 49ers, but this team did not look sharp. Not even Aaron Rodgers, and I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm perhaps an Aaron Rodgers apologist, but I think that he looked old in this game at times, and he is, right? So this is the playoff picture as it seems right now for the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, if you have any suggestions on how I could spruce up this series, let me know. I am in the early developmental stages of beginning this series, obviously. This is week 1. I didn't do this series in any of the previous seasons. But anyway, that is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more Chiefs content in the future. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.